Welcome to Season 2 of the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. Here's your hosts, Matt Cook and Bobby Brown.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pull Hook Golf, the podcast. This is episode number 40. We've got a great show for you tonight. I'm your host, Matt Cook. We've got our other host here, Mr. Bobby Brown. And my goodness, are we ready to go? We're pumped up for the week. We've got the holidays coming up, but before we get to them, my goodness, do we have some great action here. We had the QBE Shootout. We're going to recap that.
Wait. Did you say we had some great action last week?
The QBE Shootout.
We're making a show out of this.
It was tough to watch, but my goodness, I was having to drink quite a bit in order to just like take in that action. Yeah, then we've got the match, that recap. That turned out pretty well.
That was cool. I watched that.
Yeah,
I did watch that.
I did enjoy a little JT and Spieth action there. They seem to be able to play up the PG-13 cards, so we'll be talking a bit about that. We've got the great one coming up, the PNC Championship.
Yeah.
This one I'm actually excited about.
Hey, you want to know something? You know, Tiger moves the needle when they're televising the goddamn Pro-Am for the PNC father-son tournament. Did you know that?
It's more Charlie than it is Tiger, to be honest with you.
It really is. Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
It's like now LeBron is kind of fading off in the sunset in basketball, and they're televising the high school game with Bronny. So they had that the other night, and I kind of feel like they're doing the same thing with Charlie. And Tiger's doing a good job of kind of keeping him relevant, but yet letting him be a kid still, which is kind of cool to see that, you know, he's been down that path and understands it. And, you know, LeBron kind of does the same thing. So it's kind of cool to see the different generation and their children coming up through. We'll dive into that a lot more. We've also, for our international side. So, Bobby, did you know that we hit the top 100 in Apple Podcasts in 4 countries, my friend, in 4 countries? So pretty excited about that. So that's why we're going to be diving in. Just because of that, we're going to talk about the Alfred Dunhill Championship. We're going to recap that.
All right.
We're going to dive into the upcoming. Now, I'm going to botch this because I am just straight American when it comes to this. The AfrAsia Bank Mauritius Open.
Oh, yeah, I would have said Mauritius, but Mauritius, that sounds good
Mauritius,
to me.
I'm fine with either. I have no idea what it really is, but I ended up looking it up today because I'd never heard of this country. It is a small little tiny island to the east coast of South Africa. So that's why they're doing it after the Alfred Dunhill Cup that took place in South Africa. And then we're going to dive into one of our favorite topics, good old LIV Golf. Give a bit of a update here because, my goodness, they had some very bold plans. And yes, they pulled off quite a few of them, but their all-star board of directors that they're trying to get never came to be. But thank you, Golf Monthly, for dropping that info. We'll be talking about that at the very end here because, it was pretty lofty.
Yeah, I read it. I read it as soon as it hit, but we'll say that for the grand finale.
Absolutely. I love the LIV Golf stuff for the very end.
Yeah,
it gets the juices flowing. We get to really dive in. For the people that are first-time listeners, Bobby and I love LIV Golf. We are huge fans of LIV Golf, and we're just very excited to talk about it. So,
well, we are, or you are?
Here's the thing. People think I'm a hater on LIV Golf. I like it. You actually are the one that talks very highly of the players that are on there.
Well, let's go back to when it first broke. I was a hater, right? I have come a long way. I mean, I think it's entertaining. It's certainly something to talk about, and of course it's going to get my attention because it's golf, right? My life is pretty much family and golf, so I'm kind of into it, to tell you the truth. I mean, there's a lot of drama on that tour. There's more drama on that tour than there is on our tour, that's for sure. Well, because they got all the drama people now, right?
Yeah, it's like a Bravo TV show. It's like watching The Housewives.
Yeah, totally. So we'll dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Bobby, the QBE Shootout. Let's recap this bad boy because Saturday I am sitting at Southern Dunes inside the bar and I'm watching this thing. And I'm like, I just played a tough golf
slow
course.
down. Did you say Southern Dunes?
Yeah, I did.
That's a Q school course, isn't it?
I know. It's a beast.
Ooh,
I tipped it
prepping.
out too. I was talking to the
Prepping.
starter, and I love when a starter has actually played golf. It's this old guy, and he used to play on the mini tours and everything. I mean, he was probably pushing 70 to 75 in that range, and he's given me some of the old stories from back in the day. But when I told him I was going to tip it out, all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, watch out for this tee box on number 13. He's like, it's not going to be where the tee markers are. It's going to be up and to the left. He's like, you go up there. He's like, you'll have a good time out there today. And we had a great time. I got frustrated at times, Bobby, because that's a tough golf course. I haven't played it in years. I mean, at least a decade. So going out there and having that be tipped out I was at the back of every tee box because there's just a plate. There's no tee markers. It's just a plate that says tips. And so I tipped it out. It was, I think it was like 7580 in terms of yardage. So 7,580 yards. And it was playing soft because it had been raining out here lately.
And you guys had a cold snap. You got a cold snap running through there right now too, don't you? So
we do. I mean, it's like 45 degrees outside right now, which is ridiculous for Scottsdale, Arizona. But I got frustrated because, of course, you start shooting rounds under par and playing quite a bit at Mountain Shadows and so forth, and all of a sudden you get these expectations like, oh, I can play again. Oh, I'm there. Like every round should be under par. Yeah. Sure enough, I still had 4 birdies, but I had 8 bogeys and ended up shooting 4 over. Was a little pissed off.
That's not bad from the tips, though.
Not bad. I mean, it's rated 76.5, so I think the handicap still went down a bit, even with the 76. I'm now back to completely a scratch. So don't tell the people I bet against, but that's a well hidden secret since I've dropped down from a 3.7 now back to scratch. So we're getting there, Bobby. It's a work in progress. Okay. You know, it's not perfect yet, but I am rolling the pill. That is one thing that I am doing. Go. Yeah.
Golf is fun when you're making putts, isn't it?
It really is. It saves a lot of strokes.
Did you want my comment on the QBE shootout? Here it is right here.
That's why after the round, I am mad, okay? I go into that Southern Dunes bar, and I'm like, give me the Pig and Whistle whiskey. I was like, she's like, single or double? I go, definitely a double. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, shit, the QBE's on. I got to watch it. I was with our social media guy, Brad, and I'm like, okay, Brad, I was like, here it comes. I was like, I don't know if there's going to be anything exciting about this at all. But then you start to see like some of these guys started to unravel a little bit. And then Cam Young and Steve Stricker start going on a little streak there on Saturday. And I'm like, hold the phone.
Yeah.
They got a cannon out there. So I started getting pretty pumped up, Bobby. And then Sunday comes around, and I sat on my couch and watched this damn thing from start to finish.
Right.
And it was painful.
It's painful. It is painful. Can I tell you that Dustin won it one year in 2010 with Poulter. It was not painful then. It was not painful when you're caddying that. It's free money. I think they got $350,000 each, but they were in. We've told this story before. I've told this story before on previous episodes, so I'll make it short. But I think it was like $350,000. But I think they came to 18 with 18's pretty good hole, by the way, if you saw it on TV. They came to 18. I want to say with a 2-shot lead. So just there's water down the left. Don't do anything stupid. Just don't do anything stupid. So they both drive it. Down the middle. Now I'm trying to think what is the format on the last day? I should know this, Matt. Help me out. What is the format? It's
just best ball.
They both play their own. Yeah, it's best ball, right? So they both stripe one down the middle, right? Well, Dustin actually had to hit 3-wood there, so he hit first. And I'll never forget because Poulter comes over, and Poulter, he's like, Dustin, this was young Dustin goes at everything, right? And Poulter comes over and he goes, wait, whoa. Hello, mate. Dustin, DJ, you're not going at this pin, are you? Middle of the green, right, mate? Middle of the green, 2-putt. We're going to go and drink some wine tonight, right? Dustin's like, bro, I got it, bro. And he goes at it. It's just this little left pin, right? he goes at it, and it actually landed on the green and it trickled down into the water, right? So I'm just like, Poulter's looking at me, he's like, what the fuck is he doing, man? DJ's just laughing. He's like, oh, sorry, bro. Just hit it in the middle of the green, bro. We'll be fine, right? I can still chip it in when I drop. So Poulter hits it to the back of the green. Make a long story short, he chips it up, or putts it up to like 5 feet short. But it was like, he made the putt, but it was still a little bit nerve-wracking. But the best part of the story was made a quick 35 grand.
Oh, hey.
In the off season. Yeah, in the off season. So that was,
we love the QBE shootout. By the way, QBE, we love it. It's great. Bobby made 35 G's one year.
Yeah.
However, it was boring as shit to watch on the final day.
I couldn't do it, man. I turned it on, man. I'm not gonna lie. I turned it on like 3 or 4 different times, mostly just because we had our action, because I had that University of Georgia powerhouse, and we'll get to that. Notice the smile on his face, folks. He beat me out of another 1,000 pennies. Let me translate that. That's $10. I believe I am. Well, let's say this the proper way. Matt is 4-0 against Bobby Brown picking, and I would be on the other side of that, 0-4. And I've said it on these episodes before. If anybody goes against me for the whole year, you're probably going to show a little bit of a profit, because I just caddy. I don't know nothing else. I just caddy, and I if I was a gambler, I would be betting with my heart. But anyways, I turned it on like 3 or 4 times, and I wanted to see what they were doing. I knew they weren't going to get any TV time, but I wanted to see what Nelly was doing and what Lexi was doing, because the transition of the women getting their respect, and and that going to a mixed field event next year was pretty interesting to me. And I saw her hit some shots, and I was pretty impressed. Obviously, I've been pretty impressed with her for a long time. But big congratulations to Tom Hoge and Sai Theegala. 34 under, fucking A, 34 under.
So did you hear what the broadcasters tried to do to make it interesting? This happened like halfway through the round. All of a sudden they're like, oh, we got word that like on the 3rd hole, Sahith Theegala tore his lat muscle, and he is no longer able to hit driver off the tee because it's too painful. They're trying to play up this whole thing. Sure enough, like a hole later, Sahith takes out driver and just rips it. And it's like, guy, he tweaked a muscle, his lat muscle in his back. Like, he's fine. He's playing like, if you really tore a lat muscle, you ain't able to swing at all. Like, you're done. You're off the course.
Yeah, well, that way he's got some funky action. He goes at it. There's some movement. There's some movement there. So I don't think that's going to be the first and the last of that happening to him. But it was boring as shit. Wasn't I the genius that said when I was scanning down the field, and I'm like, oh my God, Charlie Hoffman and Ryan Palmer.
You did. You scoffed.
Going to be his last one. I almost put him right into the winner's circle. You could have banked on that. They were hanging in there. They were leading every day, weren't they? And they were back and forth with Theegala on the last day, and they only got clipped by a shot. If I'm not mistaken, Theegala, they birdied the last hole to win, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And then both Palmer and Hoffman missed their birdie putts.
Both missed it. Were they makeable? I don't even know. Supposed to be a host. I don't even know.
They were like 25 feet.
Yeah. Cooch and Harris English made a little run over the weekend. They only got beat a couple shots, 32 under par. How about these numbers? Homa and Kiz got off to a horrible start the first day, didn't they?
So didn't Cam Young and Steve Stricker.
Yeah, horrible start the first day, and then they rallied.
Last after
Cooch
one.
and yeah. I don't even know what we're talking about.
I'm like, why did I pick Cam Young and Steve Stricker? What is wrong with me?
I did say, you remember, you knew who I was going to pick when we were going through this last week. You knew, so you picked them first, and then I was telling you, okay, I'm going to go. I think Theegala and Hoagie's a pretty good team, but I was stuck. Aggressive on getting that Harmon team that you surrendered it to me. Little did I know that the handicapping genius you are, that you basically beat me out of a quick $10.
I did real hard, real quick, but it did come down to the wire. It was actually the most exciting thing about the QBE shootout.
It was, because my guys made 5 or 6 in a row on the back, and they shot the low round of the day 10 under. And I'm not gonna lie when I say I was looking at the leaderboard and refreshing every hole when they started hitting that run. But I was like, it was like this false sense of security, because then they made that 5 in a row, and they got tied with was Strick's team, and then they got one up on that team, and I'm like, Strick's team still has 2 par 5s to play. So I knew I was gonna lose by 1. You just can't have that 2 guys with that kind of talent that are gonna make a mess of par 5s. It's almost like auto birdie, and it was. So congratulations. You are now $40 up on me for the year. Nelly Korda, finally we had
4,000 pennies. We cannot. I've got guys texting me that I play golf with, and they're like, from now on, every bet is 1,000 pennies.
That is a Bobby Brown original right there.
I do love it.
I just told you my boss, Troy Merritt, just flew into Phoenix. And he played at Phoenix Country Club, hadn't taken the clubs out of the club. And he texted me last night. He flew out at 6:15 this morning. Texted me last night. He goes, he's at Phoenix Country Club. Oh, I said that like 3 times. Par 71, right? And he goes over under 68. And I go, oh, fucking give him money away. 500 pennies on the over. So he's shooting me the fucking shot tracker via text. He missed like 7 greens in a row. I go, what's your coach doing right now? He's just got to be shaking his head because you did absolutely nothing in Boise the last 30 days. Actually, the first text I got for him, he goes, okay, I just got to the golf course and I still am not ready to play golf yet. I'm like, well, as long as you get ready by Thursday, Sony, I don't really give a fuck. But he ended up shooting 69 out there. So I am up 500 pennies on him. I'm not going to transfer that over to you. We are going to fire on a couple more tournaments. But let's talk about Nelly Korda a little bit because
I love that. Finally.
Nice little top 5 for Nelly Korda. She's probably used to that in her career, isn't she?
Yeah.
And she plays with one of the nicest guys on the PGA Tour, the man who could really roll the pill, Denny McCarthy. And I did tune on them for a few holes, and they looked like they were having fun. Everybody looked like they were having fun out there. I couldn't imagine anybody not having fun except for maybe Billy Horschel and Jason Day. Didn't look like they had much fun on the last day. And I actually think somebody even finished below them too. I think they were next to last, and I can't really remember off the top of my head who that was.
I can't either. I'm not pulling it up either.
Are we still on?
Well, the other thing about in relation to Nelly Korda, I love the comments that Kiz and Homa were saying and the quotes coming out of those two.
Yeah.
Kisner goes to Nelly, how do you ever lose a golf tournament? Or no, he starts with, do you win every golf tournament you play in? She's like, no. He's like, how do you not win every golf tournament with your game?
She never missed a shot, right?
No, he's like, she pulled off every single shot. She lipped out of a few shots from the fairway. They're like, every shot she wanted to hit, she hit. Right.
That's impressive. I mean, she's, it's pretty much her and Jin Young Ko, and well, she's not healthy, and Lydia Ko. I think Nelly actually said something to Kiz like, no, that's you're confusing me with Lydia Ko or something like that. So apparently Lydia Ko we've known forever since she was 14 years old and started dominating. She went through her little ups and downs. But are we still in the QBE right now?
We are, but we're transitioning. This is the industry transition where all of a sudden we move from Kisner and Homa, who I think might be the next duo that takes on JT and Spieth in the Capital One's The Match.
I don't see it.
And here's why. Because
the last thing we need is Kisner out there.
All 4 of them. Well, Kisner with Homa is great. Like Homa really kind of, how do I put this? He makes Kisner tolerable or palatable. Okay. So Kisner, I do like Kisner. But when he's with Homa, all of a sudden it's like the two of them going back and forth and stuff. Like that arrogance that comes from Kiz with the whole ain't no hobby. And then he's hitting shots where he's like, oh, that's in the hole. And all of a sudden it comes up short.
Yeah, 15 yards short.
But Homa just gives it right back to him. Yeah. And that's what I love about those two, because they're very good at doing the whole PG-13 thing. And I talked about this on the last episode about Tiger and how Tiger already prefaced before the match about how he can't say the stuff he normally says on the golf course because it's all R to X rated. So he's not used to having to say things on TV that it's trash talking like he does at the club when he's just with the boys. JT and Spieth, though, those two have been doing this for a long time, and they are funny. I mean, JT, I told you the story about him with the Uber with his boys before the Barclays the one year. I mean, I actually spent enough time around Spieth to where, like, off camera, he was really funny. Like, he was your general, like, college kid who, I mean, when he had a golf simulator in his house, like, I showed up after a month of it being installed, and that screen was worn like somebody had hit balls in it for 5 years. I'm like, what did you guys do? He goes, we've had a lot of beers and a lot of parties on this golf simulator to where we're just grinding it out. And that's when you find out that, like, his boys from UT were staying with him at his house at the given time. But those guys, they're fun, they're funny, and they can keep it a little bit PG-13. But Bobby, can I just tell you that this is where I made my 4th straight 1,000 pennies off of you. With JT, like, this one was a gimme. I don't understand where your mindset was on this.
I didn't know the big fella hadn't hit a ball in 2.5 weeks.
Oh dear, that had nothing to do with it. Rory,
I didn't know the big fella. Okay, can I say this? We were all square after one.
that was your best shot.
We were all square after one. I got to tell you, I'm worried about Tiger. He just doesn't look. I'm worried. I don't know about him making Augusta. I don't know about him making all the majors. I don't know about that or him adding 1 or 2 other tournaments. I just don't, I'm worried.
I don't see it.
I don't see it, man. I don't see it either, to tell you the truth. I just don't see it. But I was, first of all, I didn't have TNT streaming, right? So I was freaking out like 5 minutes to post time. So I had my little boys downstairs with me, and I couldn't figure out how to get TNT on the streamer.
You got to get your shit together, Bobby.
Thank God my 9-year-old was there, because he could get anything on there, and he had it handled for me in about 37 seconds flat. New course record for this house. And I'm like, I would stop anything to watch Tiger play, right? And that was like my big thing for the whole night, was to watch Tiger play. And he really didn't hit any, other than that first drive. He didn't really hit any good quality shots. But like I said, in my defense, I thought he'd been practicing, because I thought I read something before he pulled out of that. What tournament was before that he was going to play in?
He was going to play in. Oh, why am I blanking on this?
Yeah, why am I blanking? I'm a tour caddy.
Hang on a second. He was going to play. Oh, in the Hero World Challenge.
Yeah, the Hero World Challenge.
His turn.
So I just remember the stuff saying that he had been prepping and he was shooting some low numbers and that kind of stuff. And then they had the interview, before the tournament started, of the 4 of them sitting down with whoever that announcer is. Is it Brian Anderson? Is that his name or something like that? Maybe, I'm not sure. But he said, I hadn't hit a ball in 2.5 weeks. And I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. I should have texted you and got a 500 penny buyout. But
there's no buyouts at Casino Cook, okay?
It was a match, but it wasn't really a match. There was never a chance where what did they get? They got it back. They were 3 down immediately. They got it back down to 2 down at one point, and then that was kind of all she wrote. Jordan looked pretty good, though. I mean, he hit a little crooked a couple times, but he's kind of a nutcase, though. Even in those things, he's so serious, isn't he? JT's a lot more relaxed than Jordan is, that's for sure.
JT was meant for the spotlight, man. Put the spotlight on that kid. He would be a great, like, social media influencer golfer, to where you just follow him around in a golf cart, and he would make you laugh all day. Would just drop in these little one-liners that you're just, like, not prepared for or seeing. They come out of left field. And however, I'm going to give Spieth this one. Spieth actually had the best line of the entire thing. They're sitting there at the end, and they've got their little, like, reward or whatever they were, little trophies, whatever, right? Yeah, it was like something, and I forget exactly what it was, but Spieth's there, and they're asking him, like, what's the best moment about this, or what's the best thing about this moment? And he goes, the best thing is how angry Tiger is having to stand next to us and smile.
Yeah. I missed that part.
And Tiger's just, and they panned to Tiger on the camera, and Tiger's just like a pissed off grin on his face, like, God damn it, he's so spot on right now.
You could tell when they were gibbering back and forth, now, because he didn't say shit for like 7 or 8 holes, did he? He just was like, almost like the look on his face, like, God, I'm in a lot of pain right now. I don't even want to be here, but
he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I don't think Rory looked like he was grinding a little bit for Rory, but I didn't know how excited he was to be there, and it wasn't much of a match. But I will say this: I did enjoy the 12-hole format.
Did you? I was curious about
that. you kept me fresh for 12 holes. 18 holes, I probably would have been zoning in and out unless it was a knockdown, drag out, back and forth. But the way that the match started off after 5 or 6 holes, I'm like, oh, this 12-hole deal is kind of cool. But the match was not much of a match. Matt, wasn't much of a match. So,
it really wasn't.
But I would like to bet you 2.5 million pennies that you are never going to see Kevin Kisner and Max Homa on.
Well, I'm not gonna gamble that because it is a bit of a long shot. Yeah. Homa is on an upward path. Kisner's kind of on a downward path. So I don't really know if that will work out to where it's made for prime time. Right. I've been surprised that Homa isn't even more popular on social media than he is, like looking at numbers and so forth, and the PIP, remember? I mean, seeing that and seeing that Kisner was actually ahead of Homa on that list was kind of shocking. So, but I think that would be good entertainment. Now, what would be better than the match by Capital One? And no, it's not Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. And I know we were talking about that last week, which I do have the scoop on that, by the way. I forgot to put that in our notes here, but I will talk about that in just a second. It would be an unfiltered match to where you can't watch it on TNT. You can't watch it on regular cable, and the guys actually really let loose. They start to say the things that they say at the country club and start to drop on each other. They're dropping F-bombs. I mean, I've been in this world. I've been around it. It's like, man, the stuff that gets said, it is hilarious, but it can also be pretty offsetting if you are the opponent going against some of these guys and you hear some of these comments get said about you. It can be a little rough. So like it actually makes a difference within the money matches and so forth, which that's what Tiger's all about, right? So it's like, man, I would love to see Tiger, Michael Jordan, Barkley, and man, give me one more good one. And the thing is, like, Jordan and Barkley hate each other. Well, Barkley doesn't hate Jordan. Jordan hates Barkley. So that right there would be amazing in and of itself. Maybe you throw in, oh gosh, who's a good golfer that could talk some really good shit? I would throw somebody like a, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head, but those three, that's what I would love to see because you know how competitive Michael Jordan is. Yeah. Barkley's finally good again. Stan Utley, I don't know what he did with him. Maybe he gave him some mushrooms or ayahuasca or some type of drugs, but it straightened Barkley right out. And then you got Tiger, who, let's face it, Tiger is at the end of the road.
Yep, but wouldn't it be nice if he held himself together and he would do this match a couple more times, you know, when he was a little bit healthier? Could actually play a little bit better, but
but I want him to let loose. I want to see the real Tiger Woods that was in Vegas and like the Tiger that people haven't seen. Like he's become more relatable in his older age. Like he's opened up more. He used to be a closed book. Now it's a lot more open, but that's where I would love to see that unfiltered. I mean, a lot of people would be shocked by it. Let's put it that way. With some of the things that would be said out there on the golf course, it would be fun. But that's my take.
What if we saw Tiger and Charlie Woods showing up in the match in the future?
That could happen. It could end up being a father-son deal.
Yeah.
And I could actually see Tiger and Charlie versus JT and JT's dad.
Let's not overdo it. But I mean, how about... Sorry, Mike Thomas.
He could still play. He still gets it around.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out this week. I mean, they were the champions there the week before last, but we had other golf going on, didn't we? We had the Dunhill Championship.
We did, but probably hang on a second. I did allude to the Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. I do want to follow up with you on that because it wasn't the guy did die. The one that was over in New Zealand. However, Freddie Couples was a part of that one.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
There were two more events after. Well, that was the last tournament that took place was, well, I might have this backwards. The dyslexia gets me a lot. But the last tournament or the last Shell's Wonderful World of Golf took place with Freddie Couples. So Freddie Couples was a part of both of those. The reason it went under was just a business decision by Shell that they didn't want to sponsor it anymore. That's when it got turned over to Motorola. Motorola did the one with Tiger and Duval, and then they bounced out of that after that one. So that kind of left it hanging, and then they decided to come up with the concept for Capital One's The Match, which the team aspect, I get it. But man, there's just something to be said about prime time and two guys going at it and having a good match. But man, there were some shitty Shell's Wonderful World of Golfs as well.
Yeah, there were
like Byron Nelson and at Pine Valley.
Golf wasn't quite the rage back then that it is now, right?
All right, let's get into that Alfred Dunhill Cup. Show us some stuff here, Bobby, because you are our guy that brings in the European players, the international players, the Corn Ferry players, the players unknown. You know all of this.
So here's what I know. Aki Stridham wins at 18 under. Never fucking heard of him ever in my life. Never heard of him in my life. But I do know this. He's about 37 years old. He had never won before. He played primarily on the Sunshine Tour, not no more. Now he's got full status for a couple of years on the World Tour. I do know that he's had 19 or 20 runner-up finishes. And even though it's the DP World Tour, his life just changed last week. How about that? No, his life just changed with the status and everything like that. So how about that? 37 years old. And when I wake up in the morning on Sunday mornings, I like to flip that when I'm having some coffee because of the time difference. I like to flip it on and that kind of stuff. And I flip it on and I'm like, am I watching the right thing right now? Is there a rain delay and they've gone to some other tour I've never heard of? And it was Aki Stridham, 18 under par over Adrian Otaegui, who is technically a LIV player too. You remember that? He's the one that was bouncing back and forth from the LIV Tour.
Really?
He finished second, and the guy that finished third, Laurie Cantor, is a LIV player too. So they had.
Wait a second. I knew.
Yes.
Gosh, now I'm mad at myself because I'm like, I've been seeing Laurie Cantor's name for a while, and then I'm like, wait a second, why do I know of this? I'm like, I know Bobby's talked about him, but didn't put two and two together that he's a LIV guy as well.
Yeah, he's a LIV guy. And Gracie, I remember I was ripping on Gracie for WD and from that tournament the week before last. Apparently that injury wasn't that bad because he ended up finishing fourth, and Louis Oosthuizen finished seventh, I think, something like that. So they had 3 or 4 guys at the LIV. They also had a handful of guys on the LIV that missed the cut and didn't advance. I think Dean Burmaster, which is a pretty decent player himself, he finished tied for 7th. And do you remember last week I was telling you that there was an Aussie that was playing that's a rookie out here that was Mr. Monday qualifiers named MJ Defoe? We talked about that last week. He top 10. He finished 9th, and he's a rookie on the PGA Tour. So he was Mr. Monday qualifier the year before last on the PGA Tour, probably Mondayed into 5 or 6. So a nice little lick for him. A name that we know that played at Texas, and I believe he played with Jordan Spieth and Scheffler. Dylan Frittelli. Do you know that name, Dylan?
Oh, yeah. Good old Dylan Frittelli.
It's funny. Dylan Frittelli, he finished 13th. That's a good showing for him, but he's actually a good player. He won John Deere 2 years ago or 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And it's funny, I was reading that he fell to like 186 in the world, and I'm like, God, it seems like just yesterday he was playing in the match play in Austin a few years ago.
Didn't he, or am I thinking of somebody else? Didn't he make it into the Masters too and have a pretty good run there?
I don't think so.
No,
I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I mean,
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Well, if he won the John Deere, then he probably did make it into the Masters. To tell you the truth, I would imagine. You better double check on that.
We're getting there right now.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Dylan Frittelli. Frittelli, Masters and I want to say he had a pretty good run too.
Check out that Masters finish. Maybe he did. He's a good player, man.
Yeah, so he was.
Wow, this is the first time this episode's ever had silence for 35, 36, 37, 38.
I can't find it. I cannot find anything. Wait a second. I found a photo. Dylan, I started getting all red. I'm like flustered here. I'm like, yeah, Bobby, you're spot on. There's a lot of silence going on here.
He's an athlete.
Dylan Frittelli,
I will tell you that much. He is an athlete.
Chips onto the number 10th green during Thursday's first round for the Masters at Augusta National Golf Club, Thursday, April 8th, 2021.
Wow, that's news.
Dylan Frittelli.
Well done.
News breaking, everybody. You're welcome.
Well done. So I'll tell you a little Dylan. Yeah, oh man, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. So Dylan Frittelli has had a pretty nice career the last 3 or 4 years. He's made some millions of dollars. He's worth millions of dollars. Let's put it that way. But I'm good friends with his caddy. We call him Big Phil. He's about 6'6". He's in his, I'm going to say he's in his low 40s, but early 40s, but he is a specimen. He takes care of himself. He's had some knee problems and that kind of stuff, but he's South African. He's one of my buddies. He brings me over that. You know what biltong is? Do you know that beef jerky biltong that they do in South Africa? It comes in sticks or it's shaved really thin. It's really, really good. And he brings it over for us and you buy some from him and that kind of stuff. But we make fun of Dylan Frittelli because he's very frugal. Is that the word to say, frugal? So he is notoriously known on the PGA Tour, like during the COVID when they would, nobody was allowed to go out and eat at restaurants and that kind of stuff. Well, apparently we're still in the COVID, Phil says, because Dylan gets his dinner at the club every single night and takes it home because he doesn't want to spend any money. You're welcome, Dylan. I fucking told the whole world about it. Hopefully you pop back into the top 150 in the world after that 13th place finish at the Dunhill. And that exhausts all my information about the Dunhill Championship.
Now, hang on. You missed one important key factor here.
What?
We had a Big Earn sighting, which Big Ernie Hells.
T32.
It's like seeing a Yeti out there in real life. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, Big Earn's out there, tied for 32nd, shoots 6 under for the week. Yeah, good old Yeti. Big Earn just playing out there. I didn't even know he's still picking up sticks, but I guess once you start, you can't stop. So,
all right,
good on you, Big Earn. Love that.
I'm done with the Dunhill now. What do you want to roll into? We got the PNC coming up, or we can go into that Mauritius Open.
Oh, hang on a second. How did we get to the Dunhill? We skipped over the PNC. You savage! You jumped right into your international. You were looking so badly just to like show your stuff.
Everybody needs to know that Bobby Brown's been suffering from that RSVP cold and flu thing, and I'm not firing on all cylinders. And first thing I said to Matt when we got on the air, before we got on the air, I'm like, are we making an episode out of this week? And Matt guaranteed me we were.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Aussie boys, our Aussie guys that listen right now are going, this is fucking pathetic right now.
This is all over the place. I mean, this is like early days. We are hopping around.
Perez is back.
So we actually, talking about that, there were some comments on our YouTube channel about, hey, is it possible to give Mikey Perez maybe in the off season to come on to an interview, talk a little bit about his updates? I'm like, I had to share the bad news with the team that Mikey Perez is down. He tore up his bad knee, the knee replacement. He tore up the ACL, MCL. Like, that thing is not doing good. So he's under for about at least 6 months. I keep checking in with him to see when exactly he's going to be, like, what they're giving him in terms of dates and stuff. And he's like, they just keep telling me it's going to be a while. I'm like, oh boy, that's not good. Doesn't he have
an aluminum knee or something anyways?
Oh yeah, it's a knee replacement, but apparently there's an IV bag that's hanging out of it right now, and it's not a good look. But there was another question that we missed. The question was, do you think, and I'm giving this question to you, Bobby, do you think, since you are on such a hot streak with picking the right bets, is there
I love Tigala and Hoagie last week.
Is there,
you happy now?
Is there going to be any LIV golfers that win a major championship next year? I think there's a pretty big caveat there. Wow. Is anybody going to be allowed to play?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think they're going to be allowed to play, to tell you the truth. The big thing the last day or two, not to change the subject, was that the big fella DJ fell out of the top 40 in the world right now, right? Really? He's at number 41 in the world. And
do you think he cares?
Fuck, now with 500 million gazillion.
That dude is the richest golfer on the face of the planet. He surpassed Tiger Woods. He's just pimping out there now. I am envious of Dustin Johnson.
What 500 gazillion bazillion, as my 5-year-old would say, dollars.
He's killing it, Bobby.
Right, and it's the off season, his favorite time of the year. And when do they start up again? Late February or March, something like that? The big fella got all his dreams. He's worth $1 billion, and he's got like a 4-month off season. He's out on that boat somewhere.
He manifested that shit, Bobby.
he's a fucking super genius. Fucking Coastal Carolina.
People think he's dumb. This guy is a genius out there, just making money moves out there. You know, he's got Wayne on his side. He's just living the dream. He does not care about any more majors. I'll tell you that much. With that amount of money,
that's a good question. I mean, you could see DJ winning a major. Could you see DJ winning a major or Cam Smith?
No, not after this big layoff that he's going to have. Now, Cam Smith, I can see winning the Masters. I said that last year. I actually was betting Mikey Perez, not knowing that the whole LIV Golf thing was going to take Cam Smith over. So I don't know if he's going to play in the Masters. I don't know if the Masters is going to allow the LIV guys. I think it's going to be the U.S. Open and the Open Championship that they allow. I don't think Cam Smith. Here's a hot take for the audience member that asked this question. I do not think Cam Smith will win a U.S. Open. So I do think he has a shot at the Open Championship, but how many people have really gone back to back? So I'm saying no. I'm going that no LIV golfer next year will win a major championship. That is, if there is a betting site out there, audience members, if you know of a betting site that will allow me to gamble against the LIV golfers to win a major championship next year, if there's a plus next to the number, I'm all in, because I don't see it, and I don't see that I don't think the Masters is going to give in.
Really?
I don't. I don't foresee them throwing out invites to the LIV golf guys.
Well, they would be the only two that could really win one. I don't see Koepka, even though he won on the LIV last year. I don't see DeChambeau. I don't see them being in the mix. Those would be the only two guys that would have a chance to win, I would think. And if I had to bet $1, I would bet that it would be Dustin that would win a major. You know.
Yeah.
You know, that would be my pick.
I'm with you there. I just don't know that long layoff. Like, are they going to get their games that
think
tight,
about
that
it.
quick?
It's not necessarily a long layoff, because if they start in late February and they have 14 events, and I think the Augusta is April 2nd, second week of April. So he'll probably
you're talking like they're in at the Masters. I just don't see it.
I don't see him leaving those guys out.
Really? After all of this, with the litigation and all that stuff coming in against the tour, I just don't see, because Augusta and the PGA Tour kind of go hand in hand. I mean, Fred Ridley, he's not. I don't foresee him backing.
Well, it's a good dude. That's if they. Hey, I hope they did. But personally, I hope they don't, because it makes a guy like my guy Troy Merritt have a much better chance, if he doesn't win, of getting in off world rankings, if he throws up some top fives or something like that. Because all of a sudden, some of these tournaments that we would have to win to get in, like the match play or something like that, with these guys, falling down the world rankings like this, now all of a sudden we're like, a very good mathematical chance to get into the match play or those kind of things. So, fuck them.
But I will say this: if the Masters allows, Cam Smith is my pick. To win the Masters this coming up year. So,
okay.
There it is. Now
I'm going to take some time before I give you my Masters pick. I think I'm going to make it probably Tuesday night of Augusta, see what the weather's like and everything.
But let's go back a second. Did you say yes that a LIV golfer would win a major next year?
No, I don't. I don't think so. No, I do not think so.
So we got 0 for 2 there.
Yeah, we're 0 for 2. Those are our picks right there. PNC Bank. PNC Bank.
Upcoming PNC Championship, the major championship of the holiday season, folks.
Well, I'm going to say what I said earlier. Fucking Tiger moves the needle when they're televising the fucking Pro-Am for the PNC Golf Championship.
I didn't even know that. That is great news, because now I'm going to be watching it tomorrow.
Right.
Wait, no, it's only a 3 day, isn't
Friday.
it?
It's actually 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday, and the Pro-Am's on Friday, right?
Oh, shit. I was way off. I was hoping for some more. I'm like, wow, I'm going to get golf tomorroh. Nope.
Yep.
Negative.
I gotcha. One of our listeners just sent me a photo. Tyler, our guy Tyler Brown?
Yeah.
In Northern California. I don't even want to tell you.
Oh, no.
Because I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you off the air. Thanks for that, Tyler.
Folks, we will clue you in a following week. I need to make sure that this is okay to share.
All right. So we got the big man. Tiger, and the up and coming big man, Charlie Woods. Yeah, the phenom, the 13-year-old phenom coming up. And Tiger said, I think they asked him at the match, they said, are you going to be able to handle it at the match? He goes, Charlie's going to hit all the shots close and I'm just going to pick the ball up out of the hole. So I guess they're going to have some confidence, but I do know it's what is it? It's a scramble format both days. It's a scramble. So man, the pressure that this Charlie, I hope he's keeping him sheltered. Those are big shoes to fill. There's so much 13-year-old talent out there. And I mean, it's not like he's winning all these events or anything like that. I mean, he does have some pretty looking action though. I will say that. And he's got a pretty good fucking teacher.
Bobby, there was one post on Instagram that went viral where all of a sudden you see Charlie's competitors and where they hit their tee shots, and then it pans like 100 yards down the fairway and there's Charlie with his ball with Tiger on the bag. And he's just, the kid is huge. His hands are bigger than Tiger's right now.
I read that. Yeah,
his head is bigger than Tiger's. I mean, I don't know what they've got this kid on, and I'm not going to accuse of anything because, listen, if you want to take performance-enhancing drugs as a professional athlete, I'm all for it.
Sure.
I've got zero like I've said this about baseball. Like, what was the greatest era of baseball? It was when everybody was juicing and they were hitting home runs through the damn roof. I don't know why there is drug testing in sports. Like, it should just be open to everybody. Do whatever you want. Let these athletes get as huge as they want. I mean, you look at DeChambeau, you wonder what the hell he did. But at the same time, did you see that comment that I threw up there? And so that was me. I threw that one up there because I'm like, I'm not going to say that he's doing anything because I actually don't think now he's doing anything, but I just thought it was a hilarious comment to throw up there. And my God, did people bite. People bit so hard on that one to say he's natural as fuck, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, probably. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm just going to let everybody tear each other to shreds on this whole thing because all I said was, good thing LIV Golf doesn't drug test with the clapping emoji, and people just read into that left and right. So that was a blast. But I'm totally fine with it. But at 13 years old, probably not. I just think the kid's hitting some growth spurts.
He ain't juicing, bro. He's growing. He's all fucking just went through puberty and shit. He's growing.
Yeah, he's fucking massive though, Bobby.
You're used to seeing the 11-year-old Charlie Woods that played a couple of years ago.
He was tiny. He was tiny when he was 11. Now he's a huge man.
And everything. And he's got to get down there and shave.
Balls have dropped.
That can be. Shit.
Tiger, man, you've got your hands full there. Charlie's a stud, bro. Like, just
and
Charlie.
He's a good-looking kid, man. He's a good-looking kid too, isn't he? He is a good-looking kid. So the PNC
kid's an athlete.
Listen to me, the PNC's coming up. All right, let's get some action going right now. I'm gonna winner picks. Okay, I am down 4,000 pennies, and here's your teams. Are you ready for this?
I already have my team.
Okay. Well,
I don't need a list
for everybody else.
Oh, go ahead. Give the list of everybody out there.
Okay. David Duval and his son, right? Nick Price. I'm just going to do the dads, and everybody can figure out who else plays with them because it's pretty much 99% kids. Nick Price, Vijay Singh. Holy shit, Nick Faldo's playing. There's a shocker. Stuart Sink and his son Connor. Justin Leonard, I believe, is playing with his son. I would imagine it's his son. I knew he played with his dad a few years back. Marco Mira. Oh my God, he's still playing in this thing. Wow. Tom Lehman and his son can really play. He's been grinding on the mini tours back there in Arizona for a few years now. Jimmy Furyk, Bernard Langer, Gary Player, Lee Trevino, Jordan Spieth and his pop. Our girl Nelly Korda and her dad Peter. It's not tennis. John Day, the defenders, the Dalys. Podrick Harrington and his son Patty, they're probably going to have a good week, I would imagine. Annika and her son, Cooch and his son, the big fella, T-Dub and Charlie, and JT and his dad. Who you got for 1,000 pennies?
For 1,000 pennies.
Yes.
I'm going to throw in a quick stop. Did you see John Daly jumping into rail? Bob, belly flopping, Bob. He belly flopped. He came out, no shirt on, just loving life.
Do you think he was drinking?
There have been quite a few videos recently on social. Yeah. I mean, it's going viral right now, so I don't know how recent it was or wasn't, but there's a couple. There's another one that is a guy said that he can finally Oh gosh, the checklist. His checklist of things that he wanted to accomplish in life. One of them was seeing a drunk John Daly do karaoke, and then it's a video of John Daly doing karaoke really wasted. So there's a couple videos of JD. It seems like he's living his best life. Let's just throw that out there, okay? Like throwing caution to the wind. He's just gonna let it rip and see what happens. Which means I'm not going with them.
Okay.
So I don't think they're gonna go back to back, even though JD2 is an absolute stick, and John Daly's soft hands around the greens is dynamic, and those two, I think they're going to be in contention. But I think there is one guy and his son that have waited for this moment, that we're going after it last year.
I'm gonna write
this
down
this is the year, because Tiger knows that there's not going to be too many more to where he's going to be able to compete. And he saved himself up. That's why he pulled out of the Hero World Challenge. And the match he didn't really show up for, so to speak. But he's not going to let down Charlie when he gets out there. So T-Dub, Charlie, this is their year. The media is going to go crazy. Charlie is going to dominate, and Tiger is actually going to step aside. And he's already prefaced this, that Charlie's going to hit the shots, Charlie's going to make the putts, because Tiger knows he's been playing these mental games with Charlie. He wants the pressure to be on Charlie so that he gets a feel for what it's like. And Charlie, so far, even at 11 years old, stepped up to that challenge. And I think now that he's 13, he is, once the lights get the brightest, I got a feeling this kid is going to show himself and really ball out there. So T-Dub and Charlie.
Duly noted and documented. I wrote it down. So I'm in a problem right now. I have a problem right now because I am not close with Justin Thomas. I do not have his number, and I was not going to call and find out how his dad's feeling. So I wanted to take Justin Thomas out of that.
It's been a year, Bobby.
I know.
That's fine.
I'm taking John Daly and his kid.
Oh, we got a rivalry here.
John Daly's drinking. He plays his best golf with his drinking.
He does.
His son plays for Arkansas, and he's been playing a lot of golf, I'm sure. So that's who I got for another 1,000.
Wow.
When do we even up at 1 million pennies? I don't even know if I'll be alive by then.
It's going to happen sooner than you think, Bobby. It's probably going to be another 1,000 shows, and I will be at 1 million pennies.
Yeah, you probably will be. Looks like I'm counting for you in that Monday qualifier for free. One of these days coming up. We'll call it all square. Want to talk about that Mauritius Open coming up?
Is it Mauritius? I don't even know. And then it's AFR. So it's capital A, FR, which the FR lowercase, and then capital A for Asia. So it's AfrAsia. Let's go with AfrAsia. It's the AfrAsia Bank Mauritius, or Mauritius,
tiny little island somewhere.
It is. I started looking this place up, and it actually looks pretty phenomenal. The golf course is pretty sick.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it has to be if it's a tiny little island and it's next to South Africa. They have great golf courses. But I scanned through the field recently, Matt, and there's about 3 names that I recognize. There's 3 names that I recognize. One of them we mentioned already because he played pretty good last week at the Dunhill. Dean Burmester. How about this? Thomas Dietrich is playing, who is a rookie on the PGA Tour this year, but he's not that guy that I think is really a rookie because he's been a force on even though he never won on the DP, I don't think, been a solid player, and he's off to a good start here in the fall. I think he's in the top 30 of the FedEx Cup already. But you sent me a little note that you like Lucas Bergard.
I don't know how to say his name either, which is hilarious, but
when we're talking about
is
Lucas Bergard,
that guy's got game.
He has, and you couldn't find him with a search warrant since 2019. And you want to know why you think he's got game? I'm going to set the record straight because we were talking about Dylan Frittelli play in the match play, and now he kind of fell off.
You're calling me out right now. Here we go.
Well, I'm calling you out because if you remember in 2019, Lucas, how did you say it?
Bergard.
Pour everybody a new asshole and made it to the Final Four in 2019. Now, Matt, that was 3 years ago, so you're still thinking about this. But listen to what he did in that match play. You remember he took down this guy named Tiger Woods 1-up. right?
Sure did.
Then he fucking took down, who did he take down after that? Then he took down Stenson, 3-2, right? Then he took down, these are pretty good players. Then he took down Matt Wallace. He got squeaked by Matt Wallace, 1-up. Then he played Keegan and he halved with Keegan. And then he took down this dude named Justin Thomas, 3-2. And then he got squeaked by Cooch. I think he got squeaked by Cooch to get into the finals. He lost 1 down. And then I think he played, that's back when it was different. She played the 3rd and the 4th place match. And I think he lost to Francesco Molinari 4-3 and that kind of stuff. So that's what you were thinking of in 2019. Well, yes, he was a plain motherfucker. Yes, he took down Tiger. Yes, he took down fucking JT. His world ranking shot up. I don't know what happened, but you can't find him with a search warrant.
No,
and
well,
I don't even know where his world rankings are right now, but I guarantee he's not in the top 300.
No, he's not. He is in the official World Golf Rankings. He is
585 is my guess.
Wow, 446. Jeez, Bobby.
I'm not bad.
You were off by 100 plus on the downside.
I'm not bad.
He's got 2 DP wins. He's got 19. Yeah. Well, he's in the 19 exemption
would you back
category.
up and tell us when those 2 wins were on the DP World Tour? What years?
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see. He finished a career high.
I'm trying to bait you into another 1,000.
Oh, he won the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship.
Oh, that's what they just had last week.
No, not the Links Championship, just the Alfred Dunhill Championship.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, the Links is over in Europe. And then I don't know. It doesn't say the other one. It's hang on. No, yeah, don't have it. So, okay, gotcha. Anyways, I saw his name. And you're probably right. I probably am going back to the match play. But, Bobby, you know what's great about gambling is that every once in a while, you just get that little gut instinct that a guy that you haven't heard from in a while is just going to show up and ball out. And that, for me, is Lucas Bjerregaard.
Okay. Why don't we do this?
I'll 2 cuts in the last 5.
Okay. You want to take Lucas Bjerregaard and I get for 1,000 pennies and I get to pick a player?
Oh, dear. This is a straight set. Yes, I will do it for 1,000 pennies, Bobby.
I'm going to take Dean Burmeister.
That's like cheating. But I'm going to let you have it.
You know, one of my favorite Christmas movies is I watched one with my kid is Meister Burger Meister. Remember that one? Meister Burger Meister, the one who had Santa Claus thrown in the clink. So I'm taking Dean Burmeister, Meister Burger. Everybody, whatever country you're listening to, you know which show I'm talking about.
Yes. I believe that everybody should know. And if you don't, you need to do some homework. All right.
Throw Chris Kringle in the clink. Who does that?
You should.
Got any lid scoop for me?
It's just wrong. Yeah. So as we dive from our AfrAsia or however you want to pronounce it in Mauritius Open, we are now diving into Golf Monthly's article on LIV Golf, which talked about
this is your specialty, not mine, for the record.
I got a kick out of this because I remember hearing too that Michael Jordan told Harold Varner not to go to LIV.
Right.
And Harold went against his wishes and obviously went to LIV Golf, and apparently Jordan wasn't very happy about that. But that being said, sure enough, who's the first name on this dream team of board of directors that LIV Golf had planned out?
Right.
Michael Jordan. They tried to get Michael Jordan. They wanted the former Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, which, my God, like, talk about a long shot there. You got Ginny Rometty, which is the former IBM chief executive. You've got Randall Stevenson, former AT&T chairman. And guess what? He currently sits on the board for the PGA Tour. So there's not really a shot there. I mean, they had some lofty expectations of their reach and ability.
And this was sourced out as a business plan. They hit up this company and said, hey, make us a business plan on how we can succeed. Because I read the article. I think it came out last week or this week sometime. So I scanned through it, my little quick reading and that kind of stuff. And I'd skip all the sentences and all the small words for speed readings. But I remember a couple of these execs that you just mentioned, maybe 1 or 2 of them, they're like, oh, I didn't even know I was on the list, or I was never approached, or anything like that. So,
well, Randall Stevenson kind of has to say that to the media because no word has ever gotten out about it. He doesn't want the PGA Tour to think that he was flirting with them and potentially jumping ship as a board member there. And then I did leave one out. Mark Parker, who's a Nike executive chairman as well.
Yeah.
They were really trying to go after some big wigs, and it's all posturing, right? When you set up your board of directors, there's two ways to do it. You could either go after affluent individuals who have had really successful business careers that you really want their advice and them to advise you on the decisions that should be made for the company. Or you go after a vanity play and go after big name people just to say, hey, Michael Jordan is on our board. But to think about the amount of money they were probably throwing at these individuals and not to be able to even dial in one, that's a hard look, Bobby. That is a hard look.
I'm still laughing at Condoleezza Rice. Wouldn't she be anti-Saudi Arabia a little bit? I don't know. Call me crazy.
It's that article was pretty surprising, but at the same time, I sat there and I'm like, makes sense. I mean, yeah, if they really thought a lot of themselves with this entire thing. I think they just thought that money was going to buy everything because, yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, money does buy a lot of things, and I mean, they're used to being able to push around agendas and political campaigns and so forth based off of the amount of money that they have. And it kind of seems like they have an endless pit, right? But even within that article, they were talking about some advisors that were discussing, and some of them have advised on that, the Saudi Arabia fund. And with that, they're like, this is a high risk, high reward scenario with LIV Golf, with just LIV Golf in general.
Right.
You want to know what the other big breaking news is?
What? Santa's coming?
Santa is dropping coal in every LIV golfer's house, okay? No, that's not true. Actually, that reminds me of a terrible story. I was recently, all right, we're going to jump off trail for 1 second here. I do have to share this story because the realest moment happened to me recently. I went to this enchanted forest at the Arizona Diamondbacks spring training facility. And it was all done by Hallmark. Shocker. Christmas, all these lights and everything. There were little kids, there were adults, there were drinks, alcoholic beverages, Bobby. And sure enough, we're walking through, and they had you're searching for each of the reindeers of Christmas. And I think we got to Prancer. And Prancer's legs looked like they were broken. So I'm like, oh, shoot, we got to put down Prancer. I was like, Christmas is canceled. This little girl all of a sudden comes running around the corner and goes, Christmas is canceled? Bobby, it was the realest moment that I've had in a really long time. I go, oh, no. Christmas is back on. And her smile comes right back. And she's like, oh, thank God, Christmas is back.
You're going to be a hell of a
running
parent,
back.
man.
I'm like, oh, my Lord. You really cannot these kids are curious as to what everybody's saying. I mean, she came around the corner, Bobby. I didn't see her. All of a sudden just runs up. And, of course, everybody's there in our group. And everybody's just destroyed by this little girl. Her facial expression was unbelievable. Okay, that was my bad person of the day alert. But now diving back into it, you just brought it up with the whole Santa Claus and me saying that. Sure. Yeah. Anyways, LIV Golf is now going to be named. Dun, 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 dun.
What?
LIV Golf League.
Oh, wow. That is huge news.
Really teed that one up there.
What was it? Not LIV Golf? Wait.
It was the LIV Golf Invitational last year, and now it is the LIV Golf League.
Wow, they're really making strides, aren't they?
LGL, baby. LGL
League. Well, all these teams keep changing their names too, so I'm sure there's going to be more changes coming up as we speak. Dustin's probably at home right now trying to figure out what he's going to name his team in 6 months, I would imagine.
I would love to be in the room for that process of helping these teams just figure out their names. I mean, they really should have just gone ham with it. I mean, one team should have for sure just been the drunks. You should have had the rippers. You should have had the rails. You could have had
gaggers,
the gaggers, the chokers. I mean, there could be some great team names out there. I'm just joking around, folks. I love LIV Golf. It's my favorite tour.
We're trying to get some content here, folks. We did it.
I think that's it.
We did it.
That's all we got. I mean, my Lord, for the off season to be dialing this in like this.
Yeah.
I mean, we dove into the Alfred Dunhill Championship. We brought up a tournament we don't even know how to say. The AfrAsia.
Yes. Mauritius. Burgermeister's playing this week.
The Meister. The Dean Burgermeister. He is. So, folks, we have 2 wagers for this coming week between Bobby and I.
Yes.
We've got 1,000 pennies. I've got T-Dub and Charlie.
Yep. I got Daly.
Bobby's got JD and JD too.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I also read that John Daly 2 doesn't go by John Daly Jr. He goes by John Daly 2.
Oh, the dose.
The dose.
He's the dose.
He is the deuce. So, dose, the deuce, however you want to put it, I'm fine with it. But you've got JD and JD 2 for the 1,000 pennies. So we're gonna see how this all pans out, and then we have 2 people you might not have heard of before, Dean Burmeister and Lucas Birgegert.
So next week, folks, we'll see you with the PNC rundown and the Mauritius Open and whatever the hell else we can brew up.
I still like Mauritius. I hope it's called Mauritius.
It is Mauritius.
It is? Oh, dear Lord, thank goodness.
I think it is. They've been playing that tournament for a while, but I'm pretty sure
you know, this goes all the way back to the Fortinet. Yeah. When you were like, it's Fortinet. And I'm like, no, it's Fortinet. And then sure enough, one of my tech buddies was like, Matt, it's Fortinet. You were correct.
I barely made it through high school. All right. Thanks for having me,
Bobby.
Man.
Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
You're a damn legend, my friend. And it was a pleasure. So everybody, we will see you next week with our recap of the PNC Championship. Thank you.
See you, man.
See you. Thank you for tuning in to Season 2 of the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe and go to www.pullhookgolf.com